Are you connecting all the dots on the journey to your inner wisdom? Are you looking for a fresh perspective on the messages you've been asking for?
So who doesn't want to be happier, healthier, wealthier, and wiser, and be able to make life's choices with confidence because they finally see the signs? We know you do.
I'm Angela Coulter.
And I'm Sarah Sieg Avignoni.
We're two conscious journeyers dedicated to turning over those rocks and helping you on your personal intuitive sleuthing mission of evolution in our multi-dimensional hologram.
And that includes Earth too.
Yes, it does. Welcome to Solving Me, our conscious puzzle-solving podcast, where we look at the natural relation between your life experiences and their meaning in the bigger picture, from the most mundane to the most overwhelming.
So what do we mean by all this? Well, have you ever thought that getting a flat tire and twisting your ankle could be related? And maybe a message about what's preventing you from getting that awesome, high-paying job you would love. Believe it or not, it's all connected.
Want to know more? Come on and let's get sleuthing. See what comes up in this episode, because it might just be about you. Welcome to episode 22. Today we have a very interesting topic.
Especially if you have a problem with the dentist.
Yes. So we're going to talk about teeth today. And before we got on here, I actually had to show Sarah a picture of this tooth monster thing that was on a show I saw once. Because when we started talking about this, all I could think of was that monster that I remember seeing and thinking it was something else. And then my husband actually said to me, that's all teeth. And I was like, no, it's not. And then I saw it close up and I was like, what? So somehow it's related to what we have to talk about today. Otherwise it would be in my mind. So teeth, we think about, it's funny because lately I keep on hearing a lot of people talk about teeth issues going on.
Well, and I know they're coming up with better technology to care for your teeth and, better ways to fix teeth. And it also seems to be that there are more and better ways to brighten, whiten, straighten, artificially look better. And, even the implants, it's that, dentistry's come a long way.
It has, but it's almost like we've gotten into the other extreme of being obsessive about it, right?
Right.
But what's interesting is that I've just noticed that it seems lately a lot of people are just having issues come up, right? Root canals and, cavities or infections or
Crowns
what was that?
Crowns falling off.
Crowns falling off. I was going to say, I just had a situation myself recently. So what is that about? Right. And we don't think about it because it's like, oh, it's just teeth.
Right.
That has nothing to do with a message. That's not a message or anything spiritual.
But as we've always said, it always is a message.
Yes, it is. So that's what we wanted to talk, because actually this came up because we were talking about teeth, and I've had, I had a tooth that, like we just were talking about, I had a crown come off. Now the crown, it was like 25 years old. So it's not like I had it a couple years ago. It was from 25 years ago. I'd had a root canal in that tooth. I'd never had any problems with it. And when it came off, it pulled out the filling inside, as well as it broke off the posts that were in the root of the tooth. So there was it was pretty extreme. It was like, I couldn't even get the temporary dental stuff that you get at the drugstore to adhere. Usually it works really well. So I just ended up having to pack that hole until I got to the dentist with that resin. And when they took the x-ray, the dentist was like, I could send you to a specialist. There's maybe a 50% chance I could do something, but like I could see where the post had broken down into the root, and it was like, I don't know how they'd get. She's like, I don't know how to get down there. I don't know how to get it.
What's left to
Yeah. Yeah. And she said, well, I can put the crown back on, but it's probably going to fall off because it's got very little to adhere to. So I got it pulled so that I can get an implant at some point. And it's my back molar. So it's really not consequential in any way. But I was very aware of something coming up at the time. And it felt like literally the decision for me to pull that tooth when all that came down that was how I had to choose to let go of something that I had so held on to that it was rooted into me and had to be physically removed. Right.
Wow. I can see that.
Yeah. And so, and I was able to sort of see what that is. And I was like, okay, well, that's not the best, I guess. I don't want to have to do that again. Let's not do that again, shall we?
Exactly. Exactly. Well, if you think about your mouth, it's such a personal thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's so particular. It's got its own little microbiome that's influenced by what you eat, what you drink, whether you sleep with your mouth open, whether you snore. I mean, everything has an impact on it.
And everything, all of those things are messages in themselves as well. So then it's like, okay, so that's like a second level kind of thing, right?
Well, and even, what your mother did when she was pregnant with you can have an influence on how your teeth buds were developed.
Exactly. Exactly.
And
So,
and the medications you were given as your teeth were developing within your gums as a baby. There's so many factors. It's kind of freaky actually that it's, and everybody's teeth some come in straight, some come in crooked. Some need braces, some don't need braces. Then, the whole jaw structure and I mean, did you suck your thumb? I mean, it just goes
do you
on and on
grind
and
your
on.
teeth, right? Do you clench your
Yes.
jaw?
Yes.
And all of that has to do with, so it's very personal. And the thing about that mouth being is that it's a gateway.
Yeah.
So it's a gateway of things coming in and going out
Right.
your body.
Yes. And going in involves nourishment.
Mm-hmm. And how
And
you nourish.
right. And even air passes through. So it's breath
Mm-hmm. In
coming
a way,
back out.
it's a filter in many ways, yes, because it holds on to certain bacteria, and it's got its own microbiome, and we have so much that goes on in the mouth that it's really important to keep it balanced, because you can have imbalances of that microbiome and then you end up having thrush and things like that.
Yes.
Right. So,
which is an indication of a bigger problem overall, just that imbalance. And it's the mouth is the messenger of that one.
yes. So think about what it is you might be filled, and so when we have problems with our teeth, often it's that, like cancer, right? And that's probably a totally different discussion on a different day, but cancer shows up as it's a filter too, like cells that create cancer and what's not, like I can't even think of the word, that create the tumors and stuff like that, are things that have taken on, there are cells that are created to take on toxins and filter them out.
Right.
When it becomes too much, then it distorts and it can't get flushed out of the system, and then it becomes other stuff. But anyway, going back to the teeth, it's the same kind of thing, because the teeth are filters in some way, shape, or form. And you're chewing food, you're expressing certain things from the food by your chewing and your saliva, yes. Right?
Yeah.
You're also, like, as you're saying, expelling, so air coming out, words coming out, sounds coming out. Like, how are you biting your words back? Are right. You not?
Are you feeling confident enough to express your ideas?
Exactly.
Do you feel you're being heard? And a lot of that frustration that is exhibited that influence the teeth happens at night when you're asleep. and you don't even realize it. And you wake up and it's like, my teeth hurt, my jaw's sore. Or you go to the dentist and they go, what have you been doing?
Yes. Yes. And so if you're having problems with your teeth, you got to look at what's underlying to the problem, right? So it's a message of the filter of the teeth and the mouth have become over inundated in some way, shape, or form. And it can't hide from you. You can't hide it from yourself anymore because now it's causing such an imbalance that you're having a problem, right? A cavity or an infection or a tooth breaking. And think about, like you were saying before we got on, about how the teeth have cracks and crevices in them and grooves, right? So very much a physical representation of what we talk about, like is the light and the dark and how we hide things in the shadow and the cracks and crevices. And think about the stuff that builds up in our teeth if we don't get regular cleanings and take good care of them and whatever, that cause then deeper problems, right? Like cavities and infections and rot.
That require professional attention.
Yes.
And as you know, with a lot of other things that we exhibit through the body, we use pain as, okay, I'm going to get your attention to the point where you can't look away. You can't ignore this anymore.
Yes, because if anybody here listening has experienced tooth pain, it's probably one of the most distracting pains you can have.
Exactly.
So,
well, and you even ran across in looking at this, that there's the chart that, like your feet and your hands and your ears and different parts of your body, that are indicative that certain teeth are assigned to certain parts of your body, that say, if you're having a problem with this tooth, you might look at this area. Now, that isn't a cut and dried, absolutely, because we're all personal and we all see if it resonates with you, if that's the case. If that tooth does feel like it indicates that there's a problem in this certain area, then maybe that's something, it's a starting place.
Yes. And to reflect and say, does that resonate with me? Or am I scoffing at that too fast? Which then means it does resonate and I don't want to look at that.
Exactly.
So, and when we do that, it's this realization of the body, again, being a great messenger. But it's funny because the teeth are almost like this other level, since they are this filter of going into the body and coming out of the body. You know, it's like I also heard somebody who was talking about hormonal weight gain and stuff or whatever, and had some issues with her weight when she was younger and had an eating disorder. And she said, well, you know, she would throw up and then her teeth were really messed up because of the acid that came up. So you think about that, right?
Yes.
Like, well, you're burning yourself.
Right. Well, and you know, if you look at it, the teeth are part of our external picture that we send to the world. We show emotion through it. People, oh, you have the prettiest smile, or wow, you need some work on those teeth, or I can tell you're a smoker, or you drink coffee. You drink a lot of coffee, don't you? Or tea, or red wine. But it's almost like it's not only a message board for us, but it's a message outward, aside from the verbal vocal.
Yes.
It's a visual.
Well, and when we have sometimes we have problems where we grind our teeth in our sleep, right? That's a big one for many people because we're overstressing ourselves, right? So you have teeth problems. Well, and even sometimes you can see that, how the teeth get ground down, right?
Yes.
And I mean, that's a walking billboard of I am stressed and not dealing with it.
Yes.
So look at how you are, and so some people will say, oh, it's genetic, and like you were saying, or my mother did this or whatever, but it's still a choice that we had in having a representation of ourselves here. So what does it represent? As always, what is it showing me? Why is it here to show me this? If you don't have any tooth problems, great. All of us have had something at some point.
Yes. Yes, we have.
So, and I take pretty anal care of my teeth, and I still have had stuff come up. And then it's even funny. So sometimes it doesn't matter how well you take care of it, right? Because then you pride yourself on how well you take care of your teeth, and then you still have stuff that happens. So that's an obvious message right there. Well, okay, you can take care of that as well as you want, but that's not going on. I had a pervasive thing that came up for like 5 years with another tooth. If you remember, where I used to get the little pus pocket underneath it, and I could manage it. I managed it really well. I had no pain. I had no like infection. I would get the little pus pocket like a zit on my gum, and it would pop and it would go away. And I would manage it. I had a whole holistic, regimen. And at one point I said, what am I struggling so hard to cover up? Or not struggling, but doing so much, putting so much energy to covering up by managing it, that what if I just looked at it and dealt with it and then moved on and then let go of that energy,
Right. And if you look at the number of people who go get mouth guards at the dentist, get the custom fit to deal with their stress, rather than figure out, okay, what is it that's overriding my sense of peace and calm in my restful time, to the point where I'm grinding my teeth?
What am I hiding from myself? Because a lot of times it's not until, you don't go to sleep. And so then all your guards are down, and then you express it.
Yes.
So look at that and look at, are you getting jaw pain?
Mm-hmm.
Do you suspect that you're grinding your teeth? Have you had some stuff that's out of the blue? Or, have you had stuff where you have to get a bridge, or you have to get like an implant or a crown or a cap, or, there's so many different little things, or even a cavity. And what could that all be, right? We're so used to discounting them as just a part of life and having to take care of our teeth.
Yes.
But what if we started looking at it? To me, the teeth is a very deep rooted thing to look at, because they're deeply rooted into our heads, and they're connected to a lot of vessels and blood and flow through the body, which is why they connect holistically, each tooth to a different part of the body, like the feet. So it's for us to start looking at that in a more holistic sense of saying, okay, so obviously this is so suppressed that I'm taking it out on my teeth, that I'm having to manifest it in my teeth.
Yes. And even the new traditional dentistry looks at your overall oral health as an indication of the bigger picture.
Yes.
So this is just taking that to the logical next step of, okay, this obviously is impacting everything. So what is the message here?
Yeah. It's almost like a control center. You got typically 32. Right. Or 36 if you still have your wisdom teeth.
Right.
So, think about that. And this might take a little while, because a lot of times, like, we're really not used to looking at our teeth as a message. But look at what your teeth patterns have been, and maybe there might be something you uncover.
Right. Absolutely.
Thanks for listening to us on Solving Me. If you found this podcast helpful, make sure to subscribe so you get noticed every time we post a new episode.
And for a short time, we have a special bonus for you. Go to solvingme.net to download your free ebook, which outlines the next level of conscious solutions for your inner investigation. Be sure to help us spread the word. Share us with others you know who want to solve the puzzles of their everyday life through the filter of expanded consciousness, and have fun doing it. One more thing. Do you have some puzzling life circumstances where you feel blocked and you'd like our take on what's going on? Send us your conscious puzzle at connect@solvingme.net, and maybe you'll be the topic of a future episode.
Until next time, happy sleuthing.